Roe v. Wade and How It Came to Be, a documentary by Kaylee Rodriguez. Jane Roe, also known as Norma McCorvey, was an abortion rights activist in 1973 after she got pregnant with her third child. She wanted an abortion but couldn't in her state of Texas. The Texas law states that women can't get an abortion unless they are raped or it's a case of incest. Until the 19th century, abortion was legal before the fourth or second trimester. In the 1970s, it was taboo and illegal. This meant that women were getting back alley abortions. This means women were finding any way possible to kill the fetus. In most cases, this would result in death or irreversible health problems. On January 22, 1973, the court ruled in the 7-2 decision that the women's right to choose an abortion was protected by the privacy rights granted by the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Roe v. Wade was proven to be a controversial topic, and it sparked protests around the United States. People were advocating for or against abortion. Before the Civil War, abortion and contraceptives were legal in the U.S., used by women of all races and colors. Midwives were mostly interracial, and most of them were black women. Other midwives were indigenous, or sometimes even white. The racist origins of the anti-abortion movement in the United States date back to the ideologies of slavery. Just like slavery, anti-abortion efforts are rooted in white supremacy. Anti-abortion efforts are rooted in white supremacy and the exploitation of black women and placing women's bodies in service to men. Just like slavery, maximizing the wealth and consolidating power motivated the anti-abortion enterprise. Then just as so as anti-abortion efforts have nothing to do with saving women's life or protecting interests of child. The abortion was an experiment way to frame their campaign to create monopolies on women's bodies for male doctors. The American Medical Association explicitly contributed this cause through the exclusion of women and black people. Many states have tried to limit abortions. What I mean is that they are passing laws that might not let women get an abortion for multiple reasons. Let's say women can't carry a child because of health reasons. Well, this in some states may say you can't do it because the law states are not required to let you get an abortion. Roe wanted to get an abortion, but Texas law prohibited it. It was illegal, so she decided to fight for this case so that women could have the right to get an abortion. Women around this time were fighting for the right to control their bodies, and they wanted the laws to help them out with birth control and anything to do with women's health. Some of the judges believed that it was up to the hospitals if they wanted to do an abortion. This was bad because women should not be denied a right, especially when it comes to their bodies. Roe's lawyer, Coffey and Sarah, were the ones who were challenged the U.S. law in the U.S. District Court as a violation of the right to privacy. The district court then struck down the law, citing the fundamental right to choose whether to have children protected by the 9th Amendment, although the 4th Amendment. They believed it was up to men to say if a woman could get rid of a child. Mr. Blackman, a congressman, said that pregnant women cannot be isolated in privacy. He goes on to explain that men want children and that men would be very sad if women got rid of the baby. The decision gave women the right to an abortion during the entirety of the pregnancy, defining different levels of state of interest regulation the abortion in the 2nd and 3rd trimesters. The right to privacy can be founded on the 14th Amendment. It talks about personal liberties and restrictions to the state law. The 9th Amendment reserved the right for women to have an abortion. In 1965, abortion was so unsafe that 70% of all deaths due to pregnancy and childbirth were a result of illegal abortions, also known as back alley abortions. Today, less than 0.3% of all women undergoing legal abortions in all ages and situations a serious requirement of hospitalization. Among women undergo the legal first trimester abortion procedures, the percent sustained serious complications dropped to 0.5%. Motherhood isn't for everyone, and sometimes it's not an option for people. Sometimes the mother can get very hurt when carrying a child, even giving abortion a deadly costs. Sometimes people don't have stable homes or lives, and there are too many factors to why people get abortions, and it should be up to the government to help us out. This is not an option, this is a human right. Almost 55.7 million abortions happen every year worldwide. 74% were unsafe, and 31% killed women. That means 25 million abortions were back alley. A lot of women around the world don't have the right to have an abortion, opt to do a back alley because they don't have the necessary resources for a safe abortion. According to the WHO, the gutter match, at least 200,000 women die annually of a complication of unsafe abortions. And between 2 million and 7 million women each year survive unsafe abortions, sustaining damage and disease, including bleeding and injury to the internal organs, such as tearing or puncturing the uterus. Abortions have become one of the safest medical procedures with a 99% success rate, thanks to the Roe v. Wade making it publicly available. Roe v. Wade affirmed the right of privacy, defined the right of a person to be free of intrusion into the publicity concerning the matter of personal nature. During the first trimester, government could not prohibit abortions at all. During the second trimester, government could require reasonable health regulations. During the third trimester, abortions can be prohibited entirely as long as the laws contained the exceptions for cases when they are necessary to save lives or the health of a mother. Today, 73% of the public oppose overturning it. The Hyde Amendment is a dangerous amendment made by pro-life Congressman Henry J. Hyde, an attempt to restrain the anti-abortion law made by Roe v. Wade. This law passed to protect the taxpayers from having to pay for abortions. Previously, there were 300,000 abortions funded by Medicaid per year. The Hyde Amendment of 1976 blocked Medicaid from paying for people's abortions under any circumstance, even if the pregnancy endangered the patient's life. This rule is dangerous because it discrimination against low-income women who required abortions. It only permitted abortions from rape and incest and health risk in 1994. Immediately after the trial's verdict came out, the great opposing emerged from the Roman Catholic Church despite the aesthetic views of women. Please excuse the picture. The RCC has long been an outcry against abortions as a form of infanticide, as they respect the embryos as human souls. Since the very first century, the Church has affirmed the moral evil of every procured abortion. This teaching has not been changed and it remains unchangeable. Direct abortion says that abortion is willed either in the end of means is gravely contrary to moral law. USCCB. During this conflict is when the term pro-life and pro-choice originated from. How did this affect today? If someone gets pregnant, they can get an abortion and their insurance can cover it because of its health care. In future, women won't have to worry about their right to an abortion because it's a human right and the government can't take that away even though they want to. Human rights activists, instead of opposing abortion in Roe v. Wade, say the lack of access to abortion clinics is a violation of human rights. Also, it's a part of human healthcare system. Most people are concerned that if they got rid of abortion, then they can get rid of women's health in general. Organizations like Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is a nonprofit organization that provides reproductive health in the United States globally. The organization directly provides a variety of reproductive health services and sexual education, contributing to research of reproductive technology and advocates for the protection and expansion of the reproductive rights. Research shows that closures of Planned Parenthood clinics lead to the increase in maternal mortality rates. The PPFA is a large single provider of the reproductive health services, including abortions in the U.S. In 2014 annual report, PPFA reported seeing over 2.5 million patients and over 4 million clinic visits and performing a total of nearly 9.5 million discrete abortions. Pro-life. Trump repeatedly promised he would nominate anti-choice justice to the Supreme Court. He followed through on that promise by nominating Neil Gorsuch, an anti-choice circuit court judge, to fill the vacancy of the court. Gorsuch ruled against reproductive freedom in multiple cases throughout his career. He confirmed only after the Republican senator changed the democracy for Trump. CNN. Because it was made by two human beings, it has human genetics in it. This would make the fetus a human being. If you can get an abortion, then it can be considered murder. They want the baby to the right to live, and they are unwanted pregnancies, and there are truly no unwanted children. The children deserve a right to live. ABC News 60 Minutes Archives was to define cases so well subtly that no one political actors, no people seriously punished for overruling. I'm answering a lot of questions about Roe, which I think indicates that Roe doesn't fall in that category. Amy Coney Bryant. Amy talks about how Roe has the potential to be overturned in the court. This could change history. The government can take that right away. Several streams of concern fed the growing public sense in the criminalization of abortions. That is wrong, at least in certain cases. A German measles epidemic in 1965 can result in the birth of thousands of babies with serious disabilities, along with one pregnant woman's highly publicized encounter with alpamide, a drug that can cause devastating harm to a developing fetus, made abortion topic of media and public conversations as never before. ABC News Archive. Pro-choice. We are not pro-abortion, but pro-choice. We believe in a woman's fundamental right to make this very important decision without government dictation. Kate McConnell Mann, a human rights activist. She believes that it is a choice that women should be able to make. Being pro-choice means that you believe that there should be an option to get an abortion. Kate's campaign for pro-choice is to help the abortion movement, but she also advocates for having the baby and giving the baby up for adoption if you cannot take care of them. There should be no man, priest, or politician, no doctor or hospital administrator, no government official, no husband who should have the right to force any woman to have a child against her will. 60 Minutes Archive. What this woman is trying to say is that it shouldn't be up to anyone else what a woman does. If she doesn't want to have a child, then it should be up to her. In many cases, women die of childbirth. It's a scary thought to give birth to a living creature that you are responsible for. Pro-choice wants to make birth control and contraceptives free, or at least affordable. Pro-life believes it's a gateway to Plan B, which is believed to be an abortion pill to kill a baby, which it is not. Pro-choice is someone who thinks abortion is up to the women. They protest to keep abortion and to fight for it to be covered by most insurances. This movement is about empowering women, not judging them. The pro-choice movement is also about making sex education better, and they are also fighting for birth controls to be free along with other menstrual products. Conclusion. The right to an abortion has a lot more meaning than we thought. The historic background talks about how abortion is tied to slavery in the Civil War. Before then, abortion was common and most midwives did it. In the early 1900s, women were more likely to die from back alley abortions and killed millions of women. In the 1970s, the Texas law states that abortion is illegal unless they were raped or in a situation of incest. Roe wanted an abortion when she found out she was pregnant with her third child. When she found out she couldn't, and she went to court to fight for her rights. And she said that it violated the 14th Amendment, the right to privacy. This caused the pro-life and pro-choice movement going on today, as the government talks about overturning the case, which means they could get rid of abortion. Thank you for listening to my documentary about Roe v. Wade and how it impacted our future and our present today. This is Kaylee Rodriguez signing off.